If you retire with $800,000 and lose 30% in the first 2 years, you might never recover. Not in 10 years. Not in 20. That's not a market crash story. That's called sequence of returns risk, and it destroys more retirement plans than medical bills, inflation, or bad investments combined. Most people plan everything except the 5 years that decide the rest of their life. Picture this. You're 64. You've saved for decades. Your 401k finally hit a number that feels real. You're thinking about that lake house, the grandkids, maybe some travel. Then the market drops 25% in your first year of retirement. You're still taking out $40,000 a year to live on, but now you're selling investments at a loss just to pay bills. 2 years later, the market recovers, but your account doesn't. You're $150,000 behind, and no paycheck is coming to fix it. This isn't a rare disaster. This happened to people who retired in 2000 and again in 2008. It's happening right now to someone watching this video. And the tragedy is, it was completely avoidable. In the next few minutes, you're going to understand why your first 5 years of retirement carry more financial weight than the next 25 combined. I'll show you the hidden math that financial advisors use to protect their wealthiest clients, the one strategy that shields you from sequence risk, and the exact moves you should make 3 years before you retire. If you're anywhere between 50 and 70, this might be the most important 6 minutes you watch this year. Here's what most people get wrong. They think retirement is about having enough money saved, a magic number, $1 million, $2 million, whatever the calculator told them. But retirement isn't about the amount, it's about the timing. If you retire into a bear market and start withdrawing money while your portfolio's down, you're locking in losses. Let's say you have $1,000 and take out 4% a year. That's $40,000. Sounds safe. But if the market drops 20% in year one, you're now pulling $40,000 from $800,000. That's a 5% withdrawal rate. Do that for 3 years during a downturn, and even when the market recovers, your portfolio is permanently smaller. You just gave away 5 to 7 years of retirement income. Studies show that retirees who experience negative returns in their first 5 years have a 58% higher chance of running out of money before age 90, even if the market performs well afterward. That first 5 years isn't just important, it's irreversible. Here's what wealthy retirees know. You don't retire 100% into the stock market. In the 5 years before retirement and the 5 years after, you build what's called a retirement buffer. This means keeping 2 to 3 years of living expenses in cash or bonds, money that won't drop when the market does. So if you need $50,000 a year, you keep $100,000 to $150,000 in safe, boring accounts. When the market crashes, you live off that buffer and leave your investments alone. You let them recover without selling at a loss. This one move, keeping a cash cushion, has saved more retirements than any stock pick ever could. Here's your action plan. 3 years before retirement, start moving money. Not all of it. Just enough to cover your first few years. If you're 62 and plan to retire at 65, begin shifting a portion of your portfolio into stable value funds, treasury bonds, or a high-yield savings account. You're not abandoning growth, you're creating safety. The rest stays invested for long-term growth over the next 20 or 30 years. This is called a bucket strategy, and it's how you survive the danger zone. Your 60s aren't the time to be aggressive. They're the time to be smart. You don't get a second chance at the first 5 years. I know this can feel overwhelming. You spent your whole life saving, and now someone's telling you the finish line is actually the most dangerous part. But here's the hope. This is fixable. You don't need to be a financial expert. You don't need to hire someone expensive. You just need to understand that retirement has phases, and the early phase requires defense, not offense. Once you get through those first 5 years with your portfolio intact, the pressure lifts. The math works in your favor again. Let's look at 2 retirees. Both start with $900,000. Both need $45,000 a year. Retiree A keeps everything in stocks and retires in a down market. 3 years later, their portfolio's down to 720. Retiree B kept $135,000 in cash and bonds, lived off that during the downturn, and left their investments untouched. 3 years later, their portfolio recovered to $880,000. That's a $160,000 difference. From the same starting point, same spending, same market. The only difference? A plan for the first 5 years. Imagine this, you're 70, you wake up without an alarm, your investments have grown every year since you retired because you protected them when it mattered most. You're traveling, you're helping your kids, you're living the life you worked for, not because you were lucky, but because you were strategic when it counted. The first 5 years of retirement don't just matter more than the next 25, they make the next 25 possible. If you're within 10 years of retirement, your next step is understanding how much you actually need in that buffer and when to start building it. That's exactly what we'll cover next, because knowing the strategy is one thing, but knowing your number is what makes it real. Subscribe and comment your favorite part.